So the movie career, I know you've got a couple that you're working on right now, but we've just invited Archie Borders, director,
hello,
writer,
yes,
behind
co-writer,
yeah,
with
right,
David Henry, yes,
yeah, behind Pleased to Meet Me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
No, it's great to have you here. So, and I just got to watch this actually the other day. Let's run down the cast of awesome names in this, because we got John Doe, you've got Joe Henry, Amy Mann, Loudon Wainwright, Karen Berquist from Over the Rhine, and some good Louisville players as well in there.
Sure. Morgan Nagler from Whispertown, Adam Kramer from Broken Spurs, Katie O'Brien and Tim Morton. It was a whole group of us, yeah.
So for those who don't know, give us the nutshell setup on this, because Pleased to Meet Me is based off of an NPR story.
By Starley Kine, yes. Yeah, it was,
Everybody Speaks Elton.
Everybody Speaks Elton John, and it was about her and John Langford from the Mekons.
Yeah.
And they both cameo in the movie too, which is a real
cool.
treat. They decided to put together a band composed only musicians from the Classifieds for one day, and one day only, to do a cover version of Rocket Man.
Yeah.
So that was the jumping off point for us.
And for you all, it's changed because of some rights issues to a Joe Henry song, a great Joe Henry song called Time is a Lion. And I'll ask both of you this question. What attracted you to that script? Because, you know, as a filmmaker, I'm sure you're always looking, either sourcing your own head for ideas or looking around the world. What was it about that one where you said, I can make that a movie. I can actually flesh that out to an hour and a half.
Yeah, well, that wasn't the initial reaction, because, like with a lot of ideas, you know, you hear it and you go, that's not a movie. It's a great story, but it's, you know, it's this tiny little thing. There's no big three-act structure. There's John Langford's having a great time. There's no conflict, you know. But like any good idea, it stays with you, and if it keeps coming back and bugging you, you go, okay, I got to pay attention to this. And I think what it was, it kind of turned into an analogy or a metaphor for the creative experience.
Yeah.
You know, where you do get a group of people together, when they do get together, and you have one of those days, and it just meshes, and you go, whoa, this something's happening here.
Right.
And then the day's over, and wow, that's kind of, it's endemic with any collaborative artistic process, filmmaking, putting on a show, putting on a play, a band coming together, whatever it is. I think that was the real inspiration for it.
And I do like the trade-off of doing, in the true life version, they just do a song that everybody knows. But for this one, I like the fiction version of it, actually trying something, and having a band put together almost a song from scratch. John, you, I think at one point there was an interview, you said maybe I was done with movies or whatever, and then you got sucked back in. And here you are now. So once again, what was it that you said, no, I can do this. Maybe I was done, but this sounds fun.
I don't get that many offers. And
so you're only retired as long as you're allowed to stay retired.
Exactly. Working in movies is fun, and you hang out with cool people, and you have to pay attention all the time. You have to be in the moment, and that's a great teacher. But having the opportunity to do something that's comfortable, something that's close to a subject and a character that I already know, but I have to apply it to this character, and you don't get a chance to do a leading role. Amy and I are kind of the leads of the movie, and you don't get a chance to do that very much, and didn't have to fall down at all.
Right.
No
wacky
falling down.
pratfalls or anything.
No
There was
falling
action
down. They had a nice place to stay for me in Louisville.
We were to have it here.
We just sent pictures of the place to stay. Here's where you're staying.
Yeah.
This is it.
I'm part of the Spencer Tracy, Bob Mitchum world of acting. It's like, do I get a room with a view?
Right.
How much do I have to fall down? I think that was Robert Mitchum.
Was that him? Was that a
towards
quote?
the end of his career?
Yeah, that's all he needed.
Yeah, like how much do I have to fall down, and do I get a room with a view?
Once again, you just graduate to these points in your life where you're allowed to say these things. Had you ever been in an actual situation like that, where you kind of had to scrap together to create something? I mean, I know when you create a band, when you're writing a song, but in something as unique as that, in one way or the other.
Every time you go into a recording session.
Yeah.
Every time.
So no matter how much preparation, you're still kind of in that situation.
Well, you want to leave a good 25% open to what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, you have the song completely written, 80% written. Leave it open to what the melody, how you're going to, interpret it, or just take off on a small tangent. Yeah, it's frightening.
Yeah.
I mean, it's frightening in a good way because it keeps you on your toes and it
Right.
keeps you, I mean, that's the similarity between doing film and recording and music. Is you have to be in the moment, you have to trust your intuition, you have to make those decisions like, was that good enough?
Right.
Do you want to do it again? Or do you want to do it differently? I mean, in television, you don't have that a lot of times. It's like, okay, good.
That's it.
Moving on.
Right there.
Yeah.
Archie,
Nobody farted during that.
that's good
during
enough.
that take.
We're in
Good.
focus. Good. Great.
Go. Archie, for you, you've done a few films now, and it always seems like music finds its way in there. I mean, did you have a big background with music, or is it just...
No, I mean, I'm no more than the average person.
Right.
Just,
So what was that then? Why does it always kind of keep coming around to that? I mean, I can go back and find other directors who are similar, and there were points in Pleased to Meet Me that I recall singles, the great Cameron Crowe film.
Sure.
Do you find a difference between directing actors who aren't musicians and musicians who are actors? And I say that in the sense that, John, you getting to be an entertainer on stage has to add something, to the other side of this when you're acting. I mean, is there a difference that you can tell in the styles?
Yeah, of course. It's just like, the analogy I use is like if you have a plumber, how many tools they have in their belt.
Sure.
I can fix a toilet, but I'd rather have a plumber do it, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And John and Loudon and Morgan,
Or plumbers.
they had the plumbing tools, they had all the stuff. They had the, they
I can't
could
wait
pull
for
this
that movie.
this one needs an 8-inch, this one needs this one, whatever. They could do that, where the other ones, it was a lot more, Adam, for example.
Yeah.
Adam is a terrific guy, but Adam is at 10 most days. When you talk to Adam, he's here, and he's here, and he's here, and he has to play a character who's way down here.
Yeah.
So we would develop a scale. Adam, you're a 1 in this scene, or you're a 3, or you're a 4, and then towards the end of the movie, you're at a 10, buddy, and he was just, he'd go off. But you use whatever's available, and a lot of it, as I've said before, is you just create an environment that lets people do the work they can do.
Yeah. How does it work for you, John, then, as I was mentioning, kind of taking from both sides? Because it seems like you can take acting and apply it to music, but how does being the musician ever apply to the acting thing?
At first, I was using the internal, smaller actions that you use, or expressions you would use in acting, and applying them to recording. And then I realized that you can take the extroverted energy on stage and apply it to certain parts of acting.
Yeah.
So
it all just kind of works in both ways.
I mean, the biggest difference to me between actors and musicians is that actors know how to just hang out. And musicians know how to do that, because that's like
That's the thing.
80% of their
Yeah.
life is just sitting around waiting for stuff to happen.
Yeah.
And actors, when they're playing musicians, are usually a little too tightly wound.
So you get to bring that on.
They got to be doing a prop and doing so.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some. It's a long history of musicians that are good actors, and there's some actors that actually play music pretty well.
I guess it should be pretty obvious to people at the beginning, Pleased to Meet Me, because you have all of these strangers picked to live in a house. That's a real world.
Right.
But it's a Replacements reference on top of that. And Westerberg, right? Does he know about this?
I have no idea.
You going to get that call from him?
I doubt it. I haven't talked to Paul Westerberg in 25, 30 years.
Okay, so it's not something where you're going to expect that, and he's going to be like, oh, come on, man.
Well, I would
bring it on.
Yeah.
I would love his to take his phone call.
Yeah.
But the Replacements opened for X years when they were first starting, when Tommy was 14, and I see Tommy Stinson quite a bit.
Yeah.
I mean, off and on. But yeah, Paul's a little more reclusive.
Sure. Now, we did a little context. We did a Q&A outside of this, and we were kind of talking a little bit about the curmudgeon of a lead singer and how it can be, and there is a bit of that to your character, that he's a bit difficult to work with for various reasons. How close are you? How difficult are you to work with, usually? How close is this character to your personality and to a studio?
I wish I was more of an asshole, quite honestly.
Really?
I do.
You think you can get more stuff done that way?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'd certainly get more attention.
He might be a little overly generous at times, actually. It's he's being modest. He's terrific to work with. He's professional. He's always on time, which is huge in movies, and I'm not exaggerating.
Yeah.
Nothing worse than waiting on the talent.
It's got to be the music thing again, because you got sound check at a certain time.
Could be.
Right. Actually, I learned that early on that everybody who I respected on movie sets was there.
Yeah.
And they didn't play any games, and they Jennifer Jason Leigh or Harry Dean Stanton or any of the, some of my heroes that I was lucky enough to work with. Like, they were ready, and they were prepared, and they had more than one idea about how to say these lines and how to play the scene, and they were also willing to just let it rip and see where it goes, and that was fun. I mean, it was really great working with Amy, because Amy and Joe, Henry, and I all have a history. We all know each other, so that was built in, and
So the rapport was already there.
yeah, and that's happened with a few other times, either working with Allison Anders or I got Viggo Mortensen and I, who are friends, got to do something, and it was so much fun, because we had to not sort of laugh during things, because I would see him do something and I'd think, you do that all the fucking time. That's not part of your character.
I know you.
I know you, but there's something about the lead singer who is an avoidant type personality, someone who's constantly pulling back,
right?
That is draws people into them, and it can be Paul Westerberg or Elliott Smith or Jeffrey Lee Pierce from Gun Club. I'm just trying to think. Exene has some of that, where they're more of an avoidant, rather than introverted than extroverted.
Well, I feel like that opens up a whole different conversation, in musicianship, and I guess in any kind of celebrity, where when you put someone on the screen or you put someone on the cover or whatever, and you want and you want and you want, and if you can't have, you want it more. I mean, we used to have the mystery in rock and roll that really doesn't exist as much these days with, so much instant pipeline with Twitter and everything else. But I think that goes a long way. Whatever type of your personality is, if you don't give a lot, it seems like that really just does make you want it more.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And something along those lines is I love in the film where John does pull the lead singer bit, just subtle things, which like when something goes wrong for the Amy Mann character, he's smiling the whole time, because it's part of that. And then it's a scene where it always gets a big laugh, but there is an undercurrent where she's asking Tim Morton about why he loves music, and he goes into this rhapsodic kind of thing, and then John undercuts it with crude reference, but the story is...
It's on the internet. You can say pussy on the internet.
Am I allowed to?
You can say it.
I don't know.
This isn't NBC, Archie. I'm sorry to...
I'm just going to have the vein for Clint. But it does, it's his character taking over the stealing the spotlight again. Right. That lead singer kind of, she's just captured this great moment, and he's like, I'm going to undercut this moment. Whether it's conscious or not. I love that bit.
Well, it's a fantastic film. I've enjoyed it. Yeah, there it is. So for our viewers around the country and the world, when will they be able to see it? How will they see it?
Right now, we are doing just a little theatrical road show. We're going to play Columbus, Cincinnati, Chicago, a few others. And then it goes wide, video on demand, at the end of April.
Okay. So it's going to be out there. And I don't want to undercut Pleased to Meet Me, but you do have a second movie coming out that you've worked on or something? What is it called? It's called Electric Slide?
I don't... it's a great director, Tristan Patterson, and Jim Sturgis is the lead. And I get to play a cop, an LAPD cop from the 80s. So I got to style my hair like Pat Riley, the the Lakers coach. Yeah. So we'll see.
We'll look forward to that too. Thank you guys both for joining. Archie Borders, Pleased to Meet Me. It's coming out.
Yes, it is.
Everywhere. And John, once again, you got a Greatest Hits on the way.
Yeah.
When is that?
In May.
All right, guys.
Yeah, beginning of May.
Cool. Thank you, guys.
Here's
Pleasure.
Thank you, Kyle.
All right.